had spent 40 years building a life around my son, sacrificing sleep, peace, and dreams for him. And in return, on the morning of my 65th birthday, he handed me his version of a gift. "You should move into a retirement home." The words hit like ice, each syllable dripping with entitlement. I stared at Colin, the boy I had raised, the man who now saw me as nothing more than an obstacle. "Leave the house and the money to me." I didn't argue, I didn't cry. I simply smiled, walked into the city's most luxurious senior residence, and signed the admission papers. Then, that same day, I finalized a trust fund that cut him off completely. No more access to my assets, no more control, not a single shred of pity left for him. And without me, his world collapsed overnight. But mine, it had only just begun. I received the most outrageous, heart-shattering gift of my life. My son Colin, the boy I had nurtured, sacrificed for, looked me straight in the eye, his handsome face a mask of cool detachment, and delivered his pronouncement. "You should move into a retirement home, Mom," he stated, his voice devoid of warmth. "It's time. Leave the house and, well, the money, to me, for my new family." I didn't argue. I didn't scream. Though a maelstrom of betrayal and icy fury churned within, I didn't shed a single tear. I simply smiled, a slow, deliberate curve of my lips that I knew didn't reach my eyes. Later that day, I walked into Skyview Estates, the city's most luxurious senior residence, and signed the admission papers, paying for 20 years up front. That same afternoon, my lawyer finalized an irrevocable trust, a meticulously crafted fortress designed to cut Colin off completely. No more access, not a single cent, and not a shred of pity left. Without my support, his world, built on entitlement, would crumble. As for me, my real life, deferred for too long, began the moment I closed that door behind me. I never imagined spending my 65th birthday like this. All I wanted was a quiet dinner. Hours earlier, the kitchen air was thick with the aroma of my signature chicken and rice casserole. Mushroom soup simmered. A Caesar salad waited. The dining table was set. Best china, polished silverware, candles, all for Colin. He hadn't been home in a year, not since a heated argument about his latest investment. I remember his childhood birthdays. He'd hide by the kitchen door, wildflowers clutched in tiny hands. "Happy birthday, Mummy," he'd whisper, eyes shining. Now, I couldn't recall the last time he'd called me Mom with affection, without a request attached. The grandfather clock struck 7:30. He'd promised a big surprise. So far, nothing. I lit the candles, blew them out, lit them again. At 8:30, the front door creaked open. "Surprise!" Colin stumbled in, reeking of alcohol, a lazy smirk on his face. A woman followed, clinging to his arm, dressed gaudily, makeup caked, one hand on an oversized handbag, the other on a pregnant belly. "Mom, here's the surprise," Colin announced, voice thick with sarcasm. "This is Tessa, my new fiancée, 6 months along." I stood frozen. "We figured you could move back in with us," he added casually. "Tessa's due soon, needs help. You're retired. Make yourself useful." Tessa tilted her head, gave me a dismissive once-over, wrinkled her nose. "She doesn't look fit for baby duty, Colin," she drawled. "Sure this will work?" My fingers tightened on my dress. "Of course," Colin shrugged. "And if you're not up for it, Mum, there's always the nursing home. Nice ones are pricey. Hate to waste money. We could find a budget-friendly place." No warmth, just a veiled threat. My home, my life, commandeered. A laugh escaped me, quiet, bitter. "So, the surprise," I began, voice dangerously calm, "is an unpaid babysitting job. And if I don't comply, a cut-rate nursing home. Is that it, Colin?" He blinked, smirk faltering. "Come on, Mom. Don't be like that," he whined. "Family first, right? Your family needs you." I didn't answer. I turned, walked upstairs, each step heavy with disillusionment. He hadn't stayed away because he was busy. He'd stayed away because I was only useful when needed. The birthday dinner sat untouched, cold, like my affection for him. That night I dialed Skyview Estates. Good evening, a polite voice answered. Skyview. How may we assist? I'd like to reserve a premium suite, I said steadily. 20 years. Paid in full. A pause. Ma'am, are you certain? Absolutely, I replied. Emergency contact. No family, I said, conviction in my voice. Understood, Mrs. Whitmore. Our team will be at your residence in 5 days. Thank you, I ended the call. My eyes drifted to 2 photos. Richard and me, young, hopeful, and baby Colin in my arms. I turned Colin's photo face down. A resolute chill settled in. At 65, I no longer owed anyone my dignity. For the first time in a lifetime, I felt relieved. Next morning, clatter and Tessa's grating voice jolted me awake. This kitchen is outdated, Colin, she complained, tapping the counter. No steam oven, no air fryer. How can I make healthy baby food? Colin slouched at the table, scrolling his phone. Morning, Mom. Fix us breakfast. Tessa's picky. I stared at last night's untouched casserole. You didn't touch my birthday dinner, I said flatly. Colin shrugged. Tessa said it smelled too strong. Sensitive nose. Tessa chimed in. Yeah, the whole house reeked of old lady cooking. Made me want to throw up. Ordering in would have been easier. I gathered the cold dishes. In the trash, amongst coffee grounds, was my mushroom soup, poured straight in, bowl and all. My grandmother's silver spoon stuck in the mess. I held the dish, knuckles white. You two staying here is temporary, I said, voice dangerously calm. This house isn't a hotel, not a maternity retreat. Colin frowned. What's that mean, Mum? Tessa's carrying my child. Be supportive. The house will be mine eventually anyway. That child is yours, Colin, I retorted, gaze unwavering. Not mine. I'm 65. I'm not your nanny, maid, or backup plan. You didn't used to be like this, Colin snapped. You used to love me. What happened? So cold, so selfish. I almost laughed. Cold? I faced him. Cold is showing up on your mother's birthday with a pregnant stranger. Cold is treating her like a servant. Cold is threatening a nursing home. That, Colin, is cold. His mouth twitched. Tessa cooed. Colin, darling, don't argue. If she won't help, we'll hire someone. Besides, her voice dripped implication. Didn't you say your mom has savings? That stock portfolio? We're short for that investment property. If she really cares, she'd help. Greed shone in her eyes. So that's it, I said quietly. You're here for my money. Colin blustered. Don't say that. And if you have money, what's wrong with helping your only son? I have a suggestion, I said, voice like ice. You two leave. Now. This home doesn't welcome you. The air thickened. Colin leaped up. Serious? Kicking us out? My right, isn't it? I asked. He sneered. You're old. I'm your son. Who'll care for you? Think money keeps you company? Tessa smirked. Exactly. If anyone leaves, it's you. We aren't going anywhere. And the money stays here. I just looked at them. They'd forgotten who this house, this money belonged to. My last hope for Colin died. I'd no longer live for anyone but myself. 2 days passed. The house felt occupied. Tessa decorated a baby sanctuary corner with pink streamers and cartoon pillows. My armchair was draped with a synthetic sheepskin. The kitchen was hers, my things tossed into storage. Colin holed up in Richard's study, on stressed phone calls about his failing new venture. My birthday was forgotten. That afternoon, I found Tessa stuffing my mother's bone china into a box. So dated, she muttered, getting a modern set. Colin said you wouldn't mind. That set was my mother's, I said quietly. She's gone, isn't she? Tessa retorted. Can't live in the past. This is my home, Tessa, I stated. Not yours. She scoffed. Won't it all be Colin's soon anyway? I smiled. Sure, Colin's getting this house. That paused her. She turned away, leaving the china. I carefully put it back. Each piece an act of defiance. I needed help. That evening, I dialed a number I hadn't called in a year. Hello? A warm, familiar voice. Martha, my housekeeper for 30 years. Colin had dismissed her, claiming no need for an old maid. It's me, Martha, I said softly. Ma'am, thank God. Been praying you were all right. I'm managing, Martha, but I need you. Come back. She arrived next morning. What in the world? She exclaimed at the takeout containers in disarray. Mom, how have you been eating this garbage? Kitchen doesn't belong to me anymore, I said wearily. She glanced at the baby corner. That girl, I nodded. Young master always had poor judgment, Martha muttered. But this takes the cake. She's bullying you. Her eyes flashed. Not on my watch. Tessa came downstairs. Colin, your mum hired someone. Thought we were cutting spending. Martha stood tall. Hired by Mrs. Whitmore, lady of this house. I answered to her, not you. Tessa scoffed but plopped on the sofa, hostile glare fixed on Martha. For dinner, Martha made my favourite beef stew. When Colin came home, he sniffed. Smells good. Martha appeared. Sir, your favourite as a boy. Colin's smile faltered. What are you doing here? He frowned. Thought you were retired. I brought her back, I said evenly. Mum, Colin sighed. Stubborn. I know you don't like Tessa, but she's carrying your grandchild. Be understanding. Understanding? I laughed softly. Think I brought Martha back because I don't like Tessa? I pointed around. This is a home, not a rental. You don't erase everything that made it mine. Mom, hear yourself? Colin slammed his fork, ruining our chance to be a family. If this is family, I said calmly, I'd rather be alone. Colin jumped up. Fine, be your lonely queen. Don't come crawling when you're old and helpless. I met his glare. Better clear-eyed and alone than blindly used. Something broke between us. I no longer hoped he'd understand. I wanted to live my years without sacrificing my dignity. Mum, certain about this? I nodded. Completely. Not an impulse. Years of Colin's cruelty. I'd made excuses. No more. Skyview's team arrives 10 a.m. tomorrow, I said quietly. Smoothly, Martha. Martha froze, eyes glistening. Ma'am, you've lived here most of your life. Exactly why it's time to say goodbye, I replied. 9 a.m. Colin shuffled in, looking sleepless. Martha, make an egg sandwich. Tessa only wants your cooking. She didn't like this kitchen days ago, Martha replied, cold as steel. Colin frowned, sank onto the sofa, turned on the TV. I looked at him steadily, my heart a cold, hard, unforgiving stone in my chest. I'm not coming back, Colin, I stated, each word a precisely aimed dart. Not this time, not ever. I then reached purposefully into the folder again and pulled out a second, equally official-looking document, a legally executed deed of transfer. And, as of 9 o'clock this morning, I have transferred the full, unencumbered ownership of this house, this property, free and clear of all liens, to Martha, my loyal friend and housekeeper, and to a few other close, long-standing, devoted friends who've stood faithfully by me through the many difficult years, people who've truly earned my trust, my gratitude, and my deepest respect. Colin shot to his feet as if he'd been stung by a hornet, his face paling dramatically, then flushing a furious, dangerous, mottled red. What the hell are you talking about? He roared, his voice cracking with a mixture of disbelief, fury, and dawning, sickening terror. You're giving my house, our family home, the legacy my father built, to the damn help, to strangers? Are you completely insane? Have you lost your mind? They, Colin, unlike you, have stood faithfully, loyally, selflessly beside me for decades, I retorted, my own voice rising now, finally, to match his, charged with years of pent-up anger and pain. They've shown me unwavering loyalty, genuine kindness, and selfless devotion when my own son, my only child, showed me nothing but cold contempt, callous neglect, and grasping, insatiable greed. That's considerably more than you can ever say for yourself, isn't it, Colin? Mum, this is utterly insane. It's completely, certifiably irrational, he spluttered, his hands clenching and unclenching spasmodically at his sides, his whole body trembling with impotent rage. I'm your son, your only flesh and blood, your heir. How can you possibly do this to me? To your own family? And yet, I countered, my voice dropping again to a low, dangerous, chilling tone that seemed to momentarily silence him. You've never once, not for many, many long years, treated me with the respect and love due to your mother, have you, Colin? Not once. The precise moment you swaggered back into this house with that grasping, opportunistic woman you call your fiancée, demanding my home, my life savings, my unquestioning servitude, as if they were all your God-given, undeniable birthright. That, Colin, was the precise moment you irrevocably ceased to be my son in any truly meaningful, emotional, or legal way. You are now, in my eyes, just a manipulative, selfish man who cynically uses the sacred bonds of blood ties as a weapon to extort resources and to manipulate affection. I knew it. I knew there was something terribly off about you lately, he accused, pointing a shaking, accusatory finger directly at me. You've been secretly plotting all of this behind my back for weeks, haven't you? Scheming, conniving, conspiring against your own innocent son. You, Colin, had plenty of time, ample opportunity, to decide what I should cook for your delicate palate. I shot back, my own righteous anger finally, fully, volcanically surfacing. Who I should dutifully take care of in my old age, where I should quietly, unobtrusively live out my final, inconvenient years. But you never once, not for a single solitary second, stopped to ask what I wanted, did you? What I needed, what I dreamed of. Not once. It was always about you. Fine, fine. Keep the damn house then. Give it away to whoever you want, for all I bloody well care, he snarled, his voice hoarse with fury. But don't you dare tell me you're also planning to throw all your hard-earned money away too. That money is my inheritance. It's my birthright. Dad always wanted me to have it. He told me so. That's stupid fun, Colin, I said evenly, my voice clear and strong, meeting his wild, shattered gaze without flinching, without a trace of apology, is a living, breathing reflection of what truly, profoundly matters to me now. It's a testament to creativity, to passion, to hope, to the enduring power of dreams, concepts I fear you wouldn't begin to understand. And it is far, far better, in my considered judgment, that the money goes to someone who is actively chasing a dream, creating beauty and meaning in the world, than be recklessly, profligately squandered by someone like you, someone who only knows how to take, to demand, to consume, to ultimately destroy. He let out a harsh, grating, bitter laugh that sounded more like a painful, tearing sob. You've completely, utterly lost your goddamn mind. You're senile. You're certifiable. Who the hell in their right mind sets up a ridiculous charity fund at your advanced age instead of properly providing for their own family, their own flesh and blood, their own innocent, unborn grandchild? I do, Colin, I stated, my voice ringing, with a newfound, unassailable power and conviction. I do, because it's my money, my life, my legacy, and I alone, am the only one who gets to decide what it's for. Not you, not Tessa, not anyone else, not anymore. Good morning, Mrs. Whitmore, one of them, a distinguished-looking woman with kind eyes, said with a courteous, practiced, professional smile, stepping confidently into the hallway. We are the dedicated transition team from Skyview Estates. We're here, as scheduled, to walk you through your final onboarding procedures and to confirm all the detailed arrangements for your smooth and comfortable move with us tomorrow morning. Colin paled visibly. The already scant colour drained completely, alarmingly, from his contorted face as the full, devastating, irreversible realization finally, catastrophically, dawned upon him. This wasn't just a threat. This wasn't a temporary, hysterical tantrum. This was real. This was actually happening. And I, his mother, his lifelong safety net, his personal ATM, was leaving. And I was taking everything he had so arrogantly, so confidently assumed was his by inalienable right, with me. Mom, you're really actually going through with this? His voice cracked, a note of genuine, raw, desperate panic finally, belatedly, breaking through his carefully constructed, arrogant facade. You're really just handing this house, my father's house, over to them. He gestured wildly, impotently, towards a stoic, unmoving Martha. And just walking away. From me, from your family, from your responsibilities. I gathered the paperwork. Not walking away, Colin. You shut the door on me long ago. My life is my own. You'll never again decide what I do with it. Martha called, old house running smoothly. Property now hers and trusted friends. I wasn't going back. Unpacking old belongings. A trunk unopened for years. Inside, a heavy wooden frame. Emily Harrington's signature. My closest college friend. Her last painting for me. Orchids at dusk. Note, hope you'll always remember the dreams we shared. Kept it sealed away, too personal. Now, in Skyview's sunlit room, new meaning. I was no longer a servant to others. Time to reclaim my inner world. Maybe share these hidden things. 3 months later, an invitation. Museum of Art, exhibition of Emily's final works. Theme, women and nature. I'd donated several pieces, including Orchids at Dusk. Art Review called it a rare and radiant elegy to life. Canvases hidden for decades. Now I was ready. Exhibition exploded in media. New York Arts Weekly. Eleanor Whitmore donates Emily Harrington's final works, a monumental gift. Skyview's media coordinator, video call from Martha. Ma'am, she said, donations made headlines. Colin saw it, nearly flipped the coffee table. I chuckled. Still trying to replace the couch? Martha sighed. Not the art, that he was too late. Said those paintings should have been family heirlooms. Asked if you had anything else valuable stashed away. I nodded. So he's afraid. More interesting, Martha said. Bank came by, applied for a loan, denied, accounts frozen. Asked if you had anything to do with it. Didn't touch his money, I replied. Revoked access to my sub-accounts, terminated transfers. Tried to offer the house as collateral, found out titles are in our names. I smiled. Final piece in place. Mom, really leaving nothing for him? One thing, I said gently. A letter. When the time comes, give him the key to the safe. Martha nodded. Gardener trimmed roses. Residence by the gazebo. Violins near the fountain. Somewhere Colin learned what loss felt like. He no longer had me. This was only the beginning. Night fell. Rain slicked streets. Colin, beneath a bar sign, slouched, cigarette burned down. Exhausted, dark circles, stale whiskey on his jaw. I'd stopped tracking him, but news found me. He'd begged friends, pitched ideas. No one bought it. I'd severed financial tethers. House transferred, accounts frozen. Loan applications denied. Calls unanswered. Even Tessa lost patience. Colin, when are you getting the money? She'd shrieked, then left with suitcases. Gardening workshop done, I sifted foundation proposals. Arts High School in Boston. Studio for Emily Harrington, for low-income artists. Approved. Attached foundation letterhead. Meant more than checks to Colin. Martha called. Ma'am, Colin's not doing well. Rejected for loans. Friends avoid him. Seen at casinos. Heavy debt. I set down my teacup, not surprised. Done enough, I said. If he can't see what's broken, no one can save him. Plan to see him again? I gazed at the lake. Knew the day would come. One final meeting, not reunion. Goodbye. The day he finally, inevitably, showed up, unannounced and unwelcome, at Skyview's imposing, gracefully arched front gate, I was in my serene, sun-dappled suite, working diligently, contentedly, on the foundation's upcoming, impressively glossy annual report, a document filled not with dry figures, but with inspiring success stories, tangible proof of young dreams being realized, of artistic talents being nurtured. Sarah, the young, unfailingly compassionate nurse, who often checked in on me with a cheerful word and a kind smile, knocked gently, discreetly, on my open door as I was carefully revising a particularly satisfying, heartwarming section detailing the recent achievements of our scholarship students. Excuse me, Mrs. Whitmore, she said softly, her expression a little hesitant, a touch concerned. There's a gentleman at the main front desk, ma'am. He says he's your family. He's asking to see you. He seems quite distressed. I set my pen down slowly, deliberately, on the polished mahogany desk, without rushing to respond, without betraying any outward sign of the sudden cold knot that had tightened in my stomach. My heart gave a single, hard, almost painful thump against my ribs, then, with a conscious effort of will, settled. I had known, with a weary certainty, that this day, this confrontation, would eventually come. Instead of immediately agreeing to see him, or refusing, I asked calmly, my voice even and controlled, "What does he look like, Sarah? Can you describe him for me?" The kind nurse hesitated for a moment, clearly uncomfortable, then quietly, reluctantly replied, "Well, ma'am, he looks extremely tired. Exhausted, really. Very tired around the eyes. And, if you don't mind my saying so, a bit rough around the edges, as if he's been sleeping in his clothes for some time, perhaps." I nodded slowly, a profound, bone-deep weariness settling over me like a shroud, but also, paradoxically, a strange, unexpected sense of calm, of readiness. The final act of this long, painful drama was about to play out. I stood up, smoothed down the front of my simple linen dress, and pulled on a light, elegant cashmere cardigan. "Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate your discretion. I'll go down and speak with him." As I walked with a steady, measured pace through the elegant, sunlit corridors of Sky View, corridors that now felt more like home than my old house ever truly had in recent years, towards the main entrance, spotted him from a distance. He wasn't waiting in the opulent, welcoming reception area, with its plush seating and fragrant flower arrangements, but was standing awkwardly, almost furtively, off to the side of the meticulously manicured circular garden path near a large, vibrant bed of intensely blue hydrangeas, their heavy heads just beginning to burst into glorious, late-spring bloom. He looked like a hollow, desiccated shell of the arrogant, preening, entitled man he once so desperately, so transparently, tried so hard to be. His once expensive, tailored clothes were now hopelessly wrinkled, stained, and ill-fitting on his visibly thinner frame. His usually perfectly coiffed, styled hair was unkempt, lank, and greasy. His handsome face, once so smooth and confident, was now shadowed by patchy, unhealthy-looking stubble and etched with lines of despair and dissipation. The cocksure, insolent pride that used to gleam so offensively in his cold, calculating eyes, the perpetually dismissive smirk that had so often been directed at me, were completely gone, terrifyingly replaced by a vacant, haunted, almost broken look. He looked utterly, comprehensively defeated. We locked eyes for several long, silent, excruciating seconds across the pristine, emerald-green lawn, a chasm of bitterness, betrayal, and unspoken accusations stretching between us. The first words out of his chapped, trembling mouth weren't, "Hello, Mom," or "I'm so sorry," or "I came to see you," or even a desperate, last-ditch plea for help. They were rasped out, a single, raw, bitter, almost inaudible acknowledgement of his utter ruin. You won." I stood composedly at the top of the wide, welcoming, gracefully curved stone steps of Skyview's magnificent main building, looking down at the pathetic, diminished figure of the man who used to be my son, who now looked more like a lost, broken, bewildered boy who'd finally, irrevocably, tragically, run out of escape routes, out of clever lies, out of other innocent people to blame, for his own self-inflicted misery. "Colin," I said quietly, my voice even, carefully devoid of any trace of triumph or anger or even pity, just a deep, echoing, sorrowful sadness for the wasted potential, for the love so carelessly discarded. This was never, ever a competition between us. I never needed to win anything against you. I only ever wanted you to be a good man. He gave a short, harsh, bitter, humorless smile that didn't even begin to reach his desolate, empty eyes. "Well, you did win, Mom. You got everything. I've got nothing left. Absolutely nothing. Not a damn thing to my name. Even Tessa. Even that bitch Tessa's finally gone. Took the last of my emergency cash, the watch my father gave me, and disappeared into thin air last week. Said I was damaged goods, a bad investment, A loser. I nodded slowly, gravely. It didn't stir much emotion in me anymore, just a faint, distant, residual ache for the bright, promising potential he had so thoroughly, so systematically, so tragically squandered. "What is it precisely that you want from me now, Colin?" I asked, my voice gentle but firm, direct, allowing no room for his usual evasions or manipulations. He opened his mouth, then closed it again, his jaw working, seemingly searching desperately for words that wouldn't, or perhaps couldn't, come. Eventually, with a defeated slump of his shoulders, he dropped his gaze to the scuffed, worn toes of his once expensive, now hopelessly shabby Italian leather shoes. I really truly messed up, Mom," he mumbled, his voice barely above a choked whisper, thick with a self-pity that was almost nauseating. "So badly. Irreparably." I sighed, a long, slow, weary exhalation that seemed to carry the weight of decades of disappointment. That pathetic, mumbled, insincere, "I messed up," felt even emptier, even more self-serving, even more meaningless than all the ones he used to glibly, tearfully offer as a small, manipulative child standing guiltily over a shattered antique vase or a miserably failed school project. Because this time, I knew with a chilling, absolute certainty that he wasn't truly sorry for the immense, lasting pain he'd inflicted on me, on his father's memory, on everyone who had ever tried to love him. He was merely, desperately, pathetically sorry for the disastrous, inescapable personal consequences that had finally, inevitably, caught up with him. He was stranded, alone, and terrified, and he was looking for another bailout. "I don't even have a roof over my head now, Mom," he confessed, his voice cracking with desperation, a single, grimy tear tracing a Wu Rita path down his unshaven, hollow cheek. "The landlord, he kicked me out this morning, changed the locks. I have nowhere to go. Are you really just going to leave me like this? Out on the cold street, your own son, your only child?" His voice rose in a familiar, wheedling, manipulative whine that grated on my very last nerve. I stood silent for a long, contemplative, pivotal moment, the warm, fragrant spring breeze rustling the leaves in the majestic oak trees that lined the driveway, the distant, cheerful sounds of other residents enjoying their peaceful afternoon, a stark counterpoint to the raw, ugly drama unfolding before me. The final choice, was starkly, brutally clear. Fall back into the old, destructive, enabling patterns of a lifetime, rescue him yet again from the consequences of his own disastrous actions, and in doing so, sacrifice my own hard-won peace and dignity, or stand firm, finally, in the new, strong, independent life I had so painstakingly, so courageously, built for myself from the ashes of his betrayal. "I'm not abandoning you, Colin," I said finally, my voice imbued with a quiet, unshakable strength, a steely resolve I didn't even know I truly possessed until this very moment, until I was forced to wield it like a shield against his desperate, last-ditch assault on my will. "I am merely, at long last, allowing you, no, requiring you, for the very first time in your privileged, coddled adult life, to take full, complete, and unmitigated responsibility for yourself, for your choices, for your actions, for the wreckage you have made." He looked up then, his eyes wild, desperate, something akin to a cornered, wounded animal flickering in their haunted depths. Rage? Grief? Or perhaps, just perhaps, the dawning, terrifying, uncomprehending realization of his utter, abject aloneness in a world that no longer catered to his whims. "You didn't used to be like this," he accused, his voice raw, hoarse, shaking with a pain that was almost palpable, a pain he clearly felt was entirely my fault. "You used to be softer, kinder. You used to forgive me for everything. You always forgave me." "No, Colin," I agreed, my voice still quiet, but as unshakable, as immovable, as the ancient granite foundations of Skyview itself. "You are right. I wasn't like this. I used to be the kind of foolish, self-sacrificing mother who willingly, repeatedly, gave up everything for you. My peace of mind, my financial security, my precious time, even, ultimately, my own dignity. I absorbed your casual cruelty, your blatant neglect, your endless, insatiable demands, and I just kept on loving you, kept on hoping against hope that you would one day change, that the good boy I remembered was still in there somewhere. I paused, taking a deep, fortifying breath, the clean air a balm to my resolute spirit. But that woman, Colin, that endlessly forgiving, endlessly enabling, endlessly sacrificing woman you remember, that doormat of a mother, doesn't live here anymore. She effectively ceased to exist, Colin, on my 65th birthday, the very day you so callously, so cruelly threatened to discard her in a cheap, undesirable nursing home so that you and your grasping fiancé could comfortably take over her house and greedily plunder her money. You can call my actions cruel if it makes you feel better, Colin, I continued, meeting his shattered, desperate gaze directly, without wavering, without flinching. You can call them cold. You can call them unnatural. You can call them whatever you need to call them in order to make some kind of twisted sense of your current, entirely self-inflicted situation. But understand this, Colin, with whatever small shred of clarity you have left, you brought us to this sorry pass. Your choices, your actions, your relentless, unthinking, destructive selfishness paved this desolate, lonely road. And now, my son, you must finally, truly walk it, completely and utterly alone. However, I added, reaching into the pocket of my cardigan and retrieving a small, old, tarnished brass key, the one Martha had been safeguarding. I did leave you one thing, in the safe in your father's study, a letter. Perhaps now you are finally ready to read it. I pressed the key into his limp, unresponsive hand. I turned then, without another word, without a backward glance, and walked with a straight spine and a steady, determined heart back inside the serene, welcoming, protective doors of Skyview Estates. The heavy polished oak door closed softly, yet with an undeniable, irrevocable decisiveness behind me. I could feel him still standing out there on the other side, a solitary, broken, uncomprehending figure amidst the riotously blooming, indifferent blue hydrangeas. But he didn't call out my name, not once. The silence was absolute. That night, as I lay in my comfortable, peaceful bed, the gentle, rhythmic lapping of the lake against the distant shore outside my window, a soothing, hypnotic lullaby. I thought of him, not as the broken man he had become, but as the innocent, trusting baby he once was. How he used to curl so sweetly, so trustingly in my loving arms, his tiny starfish hand gripping my finger with surprising strength, his happy voice babbling and cooing, trying so hard to form his first, halting words. Back then, in my naive, all-consuming maternal devotion, I had foolishly, fervently believed that if I just loved him enough, protected him enough, shielded him enough, provided for him enough, he would somehow, magically, naturally grow into a kind, responsible, compassionate and honorable man. I now knew with painful, devastating clarity, profoundly, tragically wrong. Real growth, true character, I now understood with a wisdom born of deep suffering, doesn't come from being endlessly carried, endlessly coddled, endlessly excused, endlessly bailed out of trouble. It comes, often painfully, from learning to stand alone, from bravely, honestly facing the often harsh and unwelcome consequences of one's own actions, from painstakingly, humbly, picking up the shattered pieces of one's own self-inflicted, ruined life. I had finally, truly, irrevocably let him go. And he, whether he realized it yet or not, had a long, dark, arduous, and entirely solitary road ahead of him, a road he would now have to navigate entirely, without my map, without my compass, without my unwavering, unconditional, and ultimately, I now saw, deeply damaging support. The contents of the letter in the safe were simple. A single sheet of paper detailing the gambling debts his father had secretly paid off for him years ago. Debts I had only discovered after Richard's death, along with a small, faded photograph of the three of us, happy, on a long-ago beach vacation, and a single stark sentence: "This is all that is left of our family, Colin. The rest you destroyed. What you do now is entirely up to you. As for me, I felt a quiet, profound sense of peace, a deep, unshakable moral reward. My dignity was not only intact, it was stronger than ever. My spirit was free, soaring, and my future, for the first time in my adult life, was entirely, gloriously, wonderfully my own. I still had so much left to do, so many exciting plans, so many young, deserving artists to support and mentor through Emily's thriving foundation, so many new, stimulating friendships to cultivate and nurture, and so many more rich, fulfilling, unencumbered chapters of my own precious life yet to write. I never, ever thought I'd be truly, vibrantly starting over, finding such profound, unexpected joy and such vibrant, meaningful purpose at this late stage of my life, especially after so much prolonged heartache and bitter disappointment. But that, I was finally beginning to understand, is the astonishing, unpredictable, often breathtaking beauty of life, isn't it? The chapters that truly, deeply, authentically belong to you, the ones that make your soul sing, often don't even begin until you've finally, bravely, convinced yourself, and perhaps more importantly, everyone else, that your story is already, sadly, definitively over. Mine, I knew with every fiber of my being, was just gloriously, exhilaratingly beginning.